Hey, Mike from the Fulcrum here. Title today's video, So, What is All This For? Comes from a book about the last words of famous celebrities. In this case, the last words of Marlon Brando, well-known film star, Academy Award winner. I suppose in his final moments, flashing back through his life and wondering about successes, the failures, and everything in between, and what is all this for and where we're going. It's an idea that many people, regardless of age, think about. You think about it more so when you're older, of course, because you're much closer to wherever we all are going to. You have a pretty good idea about the past because you were there and you saw it. And the past is often a window to the future, which you also know because you see the same shit repeating over and over and over again. Not that it helps much because you really can't tell anybody, because every generation coming up has the same mantra. This time it will be different. It rarely is. There's some changes in the script and the players, but it plays out pretty much the same way, the same plot, the same ending. But it's interesting to discuss and think about it. More enlightened souls than myself have been examining all the latest information we have. I mean, it was confusing enough before with just our standard religions we had with their creation theories, but now, with the advent of the internet, AI, all kinds of information that's been hidden in vaults and dusty basements and attics of museums throughout the world that they didn't know what to do with before are now being dragged out, dust off, and deciphered. We have translation engines now that can go through and match ancient texts that we formerly couldn't understand, match them up with things that indicate what these symbols mean, cross-reference them all, and print it out. And some of these creation stories are very interesting. Some of them believe that there's a vast cosmic entity, cosmic consciousness, that we all came from. And this great creation took bits of itself, you, me, everyone you know, sent us to Earth and wherever else it had control of domains to experience life, so it could experience life through all these avenues. Interesting theory, but it makes me wonder. The idea that 2 billion years of brutal evolution, crawling up the ladder, smashing everything before you to get ahead to the top of the food chain, and 12,000 years of brutal warfare, rape, pillage, and orgasm wouldn't be enough. Would indicate that maybe this great cosmic blob is actually some kind of voyeuristic junkie that just can't get enough. Possibly the Big Bang was actually, this has all happened before. It finally reached critical mass and OD'd on all this experience, exploded, came back together, and in doing so forgot that it actually had done it and started all over again. All of us still stuck in the loop. Another interesting theory is that, well, maybe not so elaborate, is that we were here as primitive beings and that other more enlightened beings from other dimensions, other planets, we're not really sure which, came down, enlightened us enough, changed our DNA just enough so that we could run the machinery and provide whatever services they required. At some point, they fell out amongst themselves, had a battle, and decided to leave the planet, enclosing it in some kind of vast cosmic grid that keeps us in and all our life energies as well. And that, like some kind of matrix, our life energies are being mined to run some kind of intergalactic air conditioning system that's still running. The building, the lights are on, but all the people have left. Other versions of this are that this is quite true. Other aliens and interdimensional beings have come down, would love to free us and enlighten us even further so we could ascend, but afraid if they don't turn off machinery in the right way, it'll blow everything all to hell. That's not very comforting either. There are other great gurus all over the internet with similar theories, pontificate on it all as if they have all the answers. But I think any genuine gurus are probably high up a mountain somewhere hiding in a cave, because they figured out what true enlightenment is. That's staying away from other people. Because most people bring a lot of negative energy. So the only ones they deal with are the truly motivated students that want to learn all the secrets of life, and then once learned, take off and quit asking irritating questions 24/7. I don't pretend to be a guru or any kind of enlightened being, just a curious mortal who likes to examine all these things. But I do find great comfort in what people have come before who have said. Now, you would think that all this comes across as rather negative, but it's not. I kind of find it amusing in a way that we continually spend so much time worrying about all this, because at the end of it all, we really aren't going to find out anything until it's our turn to go. I know years ago I was involved in local theater, and I did a play that was by Oscar Wilde called The Importance of Being Earnest. And being interested, I did some research on the author himself. Now, there was a man who faced his own end with kind of dignity, grace, wit, and even humor. He'd once been the toast of London, several successful plays under his belt. He was the toast of the town, partied everywhere, knew all the right people, went to all the right places, wore all the latest clothes. But unfortunately, he pushed the envelope a little too far. He became an openly gay man in a time that would tolerate it, but only if you didn't push it too far. And push it too far he did, with a young lord. It all came down, crashing down. He was taken to trial, sent to jail. He became ill. When he got out, he fled to Paris. Basically impoverished and not anywhere near his formal circumstances, living off the good graces of friends. Ended up in a decrepit room in his final hours. Staring about the room, he made this final statement. Either this wallpaper goes or I do. Turned to the wall, passed on. Now, looking at that, you have to think, now that's the way to go. Looking back at the rise to fame, the fall, and everything that happened after, he still maintained his wit and sense of humor right to the very end. And I'd like to think wherever he went, the gods that are there have a sense of humor. But I'll leave the last words to Marcus Aurelius, former emperor, and probably one of the most famous of the philosopher emperors that ever lived, stated this about life and the gods. He says, if the gods are just, they will not judge you on your devotion. They'll judge you on how virtuous you lived your life and welcome you in. If they're gods and they are unjust, you should not worship them. And if they're no gods, then you will be gone. But you'll be remembered by your loved ones by the virtuous life you have lived. I'm paraphrasing that a little bit, but that's the gist of it. So basically, the same ending. None of us, no matter how enlightened we are, have any idea what happens next. And as usual, breathe deep, think clearly, and try not to worry too much about shit you got no control over. Have a great day.